Hi, I'm Stephanie Shaw. I'm with Eastern Ohio P-16 Partnership for Education. We cover four counties in Ashtabula, Trumbull, Mahoning, and Columbiana in the state of Ohio, and I'm located at Kent State University in Trumbull County.
Okay, great. How are you involved with the talent dividend from the perspective of where you are?
Our organization became involved when the Talent Dividend began by being one of the original grant partners. We came in with the folks in Akron and Cleveland under NOCHE, or the Northeast Ohio Council on Higher Education. And we decided as a group that if one of us win, which I think we will, we think that all of us should win. So we came in as a collaborative. If one person wins the ultimate prize, we're going to split it throughout the entire Northeast Ohio area.
How do you kind of define talent when you're doing kind of your work in your area, or for the broader, the NOCHE as a collaborative and collective?
I think one thing that we've tried to really focus on is that talent does not necessarily mean a college degree. It means some type of post-secondary education. I recognize the importance of a degree, but I also recognize that some students will not attend college either because they don't want to, they cannot afford to attend college, or it's just not a right fit for them. So talent, I think, is defined as it can be anyone at any level of education.
If you could tell me a bit about your work and what the Ohio, E16 is as well, the whole kind of process and how you got to where you are.
What we've done is we're a collaborative that includes business, education, civic, and local community organizations working together to determine how can we make the process of education more seamless for our students in our four counties. There's 53 school districts involved, and we work with Youngstown State University, Eastern Gateway Community College, and also Kent State University, and all of our school districts, again, on trying to make education more seamless. We are looking at three different areas. We're looking at the preschool to kindergarten transition, middle to high, and high school to post-secondary education transition. With our pre-K to kindergarten transition, what we've done, it seems very simple, but we've had people have conversations with one another. A lot of the school districts were not partnering with their local preschools. So the students were coming unprepared for kindergarten, or what the teacher assumed as being unprepared. We got them together. We've had two forums where they actually sit down, have conversations. They're bringing the students into the kindergarten classrooms before kindergarten. They're working on documentation together, so that transition from preschool to kindergarten doesn't come with 20 different types of forms. They're working on those type of things together. So we built that collaborative. In the middle to high school transition, the middle school is often coined as the forgotten middle, and that's a critical time for our students. So what we do is provide ACT Explore test, which is the 8th grade version of ACT for those students. It gives the high school and also the middle school an opportunity to say where that student really should be, because a lot of times a student will be a B, C student, kind of sliding through that through middle school. But really, when they take the ACT Explore, you can find out that they're very, very bright, and they should be taking some more accelerated courses. It also helps the student kind of put a direction on their life. It talks about what they're interested in as far as post-secondary education. So you're not waiting until that junior year in high school to decide what I want to be. You have that information early enough so that 4 years can be spent actually building and helping that student prepare more for post-secondary. And on the last leg, we've partnered with the 3 universities that we work with, and also some high school math and English folks to talk about how to get our remediation rates lowered. In our region, the students on average, 66% of them have to be remediated in math or English. And even though our students are meeting the Ohio State standards, they're not meeting the standards of what the universities expect. So a team of us are working on curriculum changes and so forth to make sure that our students are more prepared.
Do you do any sort of work in these collectives and collaboratives, especially at that kind of middle to high school to college level, that deals with working at all on the types of courses like the post-secondary education coursework that students are able to take advantage of through, like, for example, Kent State Tuscarawas or community colleges where they're able to do some coursework in their schools or at the university level?
Yeah, we've done some partnership. We've really worked a lot with Youngstown State University on
Okay.
that. All the universities do a great job, but it just seems like that's the partnership that has come together recently. We were able to find some funding in our school districts. We have dual enrollment,
Hmm.
post-secondary education enrollment, seniors to sophomores, and all are funded a little differently. On the dual enrollment side, the schools are now asking that parents pay for some of those dual enrollment classes, and they're about $40 per credit hour. We were able to get some grant funding to help students in two of our districts pay for some of that post-secondary education. We also, with that ACT Explorer, looking at that middle school student, we're also preparing them by not only taking Explore, but taking Plan in 10th grade. And that helps measure if that student will be ready for some type of dual enrollment class. We've also worked with Youngstown State University's Metro College, is what they call it, to fund an ACT tool for the students. So any student in all four counties has free access to online ACT training for the next 2 years. And we're working on right now to get year 3 funding. They just have to go to a counselor in their school and get a passcode, and they can take that training anytime at home on their own. They can also take 2 free ACT tests with that.
You mentioned earlier on, too, about really forging partnerships with business, education, civic, your local community organizations. I know with forging partnerships, sometimes it's a bit easier to work with some segments than it is others. When you began your work, a few years ago, were there both challenges and, some real successes with getting people together? How did that work for you, getting multiple organizations all kind of online together and communicating and talking?
So I think I was very fortunate because I came in on the tail end of that.
Ah.
About about a year before I came on board, I'm the first paid staff member
Okay.
of the partnership. But in spring of 2009, a group of folks came together and they did all their fighting before I got on board.
Nice.
Yeah, it was nice. Well, everyone got in the room and everyone kind of does the finger pointing thing. The not preparing the students when they get in the real world. Business has too many expectations. Well, if the parents did X, Y, Z. So all those conversations happened before I came on board. And I think I know that they did a really, really good job. Our regional chamber, they had someone on staff who kind of led that charge, talking about what it takes for us to move past pointing fingers and blaming to where we need to be and where we're going right now, actually helping our students. Youngstown State University was very involved in that, and a lot of our local foundations were very involved in that initial pulling folks together and making sure that everyone was on the same page.
Have you been able to kind of formulate, I guess, committees of a sort in these different subcategories, or are the meetings really broad in the sense that you're bringing all these groups together and you're brainstorming together at this point now that they've been established?
We do a bit of both. I have been so fortunate. And a lot of people say, I work with a great bunch of people. I really, really do. I've not gone to anyone at the school or any business and said, can you do XYZ for me? And they have not stepped up to the plate. So we do have an awesome team, and we do it both ways. So we have a council that has about 50 folks, and we come together quarterly to talk about the more big picture items. Are we on the right track? What do we need to be doing next? How are we actually going to move the needle, per se? Mm-hmm. But we also have some subgroups. So we have a community engagement group that's trying to work on a parent component and working on how to pull business in more proactively. Also working on a speakers bureau. So they go out, give presentations. And then we have a college to career group that works on ACT, looking at the data. What does it really look like? What does it mean for our students? And how can we move the needle forward? So we do have those subgroups along with that bigger consortium.
With so many different subgroups, and for that matter, 3 different levels of work that you're doing that you kind of described early on. Do you have specific? I'm sure you do, but do you have specific goals that you're you're working on for all three of those subcategories, or is there kind of a broader number that you're looking to move the needle? It
We
sounds so vast, the work
It
you're doing.
is.
You're doing so much work. It sounds great.
It is. The best way to measure that preschool to kindergarten is with the crawl scores.
Okay.
And so we've used that as one mechanism, making sure we're moving the needle there. Another way we measure is with ACT, so our ACT scores. And then after that, we're actually looking at graduation rates. So we want to move the needles in all those areas. I hate to say the problem, but kind of the problem is kids have to, grow for a year and they have to go to the next grade. So we're only in year 2, and it will probably take about another 3 to 5 years for us to see what improvements have been made. So to me, that's kind of a struggle. I'm like, hurry up, graduate. So we did something right.
Yeah.
But we're just in the middle of that process, making sure that we've done something to affect crawl, ACT, and also graduation rate.
And are there specific people or university partners, or for that matter, business community partners that you're working with that will help you aggregate all this data? I've just, in talking to lots of cities, they've either, brought somebody in kind of at a pro bono type of way to help them out and aggregate, or are you not quite to that step at this point?
Well, we're and by we, I mean me.
Sure.
we're tracking the data that we have currently. But what we've done, we've partnered with Strive out of Cincinnati, and we are currently working on figuring out how we can come together and work collaboratively on building that data model so we have that report card to give to the community. So within the next year, the community will start to see more of us putting out some more numbers, letting them know what the ACT Explore scores have been. Our initial group of Explore students are now in 10th grade, so they'll be taking the plan. So we'll be able to see, that students score a little bit better and plan because they had that practice and explore. So yes, we're working with a group out of Cincinnati to be able to measure some of that data. YSU has been really, and Kent State also have been great with if we need any type of assistance with some of the data collecting we're using, we have folks in those organizations that are helping us also.
Could you briefly mention what Strive is?
Sure. Strive is an organization in the Cincinnati area, and they're a P-16 in and of itself. They are looking at some of the same things that we're looking at crawl data to see if the students are ready for kindergarten, and looking at some of those middle and high school points of measurement. They're looking at that student holistically also. So not just making sure that they're academically prepared, but everything that goes along with that, mental, physical, they're looking at that also. Strive is a large organization because they have a great group of business partners in the Cincinnati area that help them with their work. And what they've done is they've built this model of collecting data, and they're taking that model across the country to help other organizations so that we all can get up to where we need to be in helping our students with education.
In this work that you're doing, it's so multifaceted. Are there any success stories that sort of rise to the top right now in any area and any level that you're just really proud of over the last couple of years that you'd like to share?
Yeah, well, there can be data success, and I think we're moving toward that level, but I think the most success has come from phone calls that I've gotten from parents saying, hey, my school didn't inform me about this dual enrollment thing. I didn't really know that my kid could go to college while they were in high school. Or a parent saying, by my student taking this ACT test, now I feel more comfortable knowing what's expected out of my student. Also, a parent has approached me about the FAFSA form. We did a college and career event, and we explained to them what they needed to do to get more prepared and how you need to really start in kindergarten to get your student prepared for college and post-secondary. And the gratitude that the parents and the community has shown, because we're out there. We're not the only organization doing it, but we're one of the organizations out there making sure that the information gets to the parents. I think that's to me, is a proud accomplishment of the organization. Thank you very much for giving us this opportunity to talk a little bit more about a little bit more about our organization. I hope when we talk again, maybe in a year, we have some additional data points to share with you guys, because I really do see Northeast Ohio and Eastern Ohio moving forward in education attainment.